everyone. Our next two guests are taking the fear out of learning about finance. Rashad, Bilal and Troy Millings are hosts of the Earn Your Leisure podcast, which is a go-to resource for financial literacy in the Black community. Now, these financial gurus have launched the second season of their show, Assets Over Liabilities, which gives viewers an inside scoop on how the biggest names in hip-hop navigate their business ventures and their companies. Earlier, I spoke with both gentlemen to talk all about how they wanted to approach season 2 of the show. Take a look.
We wanted to, keep the same format as season 1, but even get a little bit more in-depth and a little bit more personal. So I think that, viewers definitely will appreciate that, especially on your interviews that you mentioned, Dame Dash and Nick Cannon, somebody that you don't really hear speak a lot about business. You always see him speaking, it's in an entertainment form about his personal life, but I haven't really heard him break down his business model from the time that he was 16 years old till now. And then, we have social media influencers. We have a wide variety of different people that we were able to connect with this year. So I think it's a very broad range, eclectic group of people, and very, very much a deep dive in true Earn Your Leisure fashion.
We're seeing Nick Cannon on your show now. Troy, who's been your favorite guest on the show so far?
Nick is one of them. I think Jada Cheese is one of them, just because she's an entrepreneur. Most people think that she's a social media influencer, but she has a lot of businesses that she's started and are flourishing right now. So giving an opportunity to her to spread the light on that, and people can see her in a different lens, was important. I think Jamel Hill was one of my favorites. Hearing her story, especially as a woman in the media industry and what she had to fight for and what she continues to fight for, I think is inspiring for young adults, especially young women of color. And it gives them aspiration that we can do this and we can be this.
Yeah, we've had her on the show and she's absolutely incredible.
She's amazing.
Who are you hoping to land? I'm hearing rumors of LeBron James. So who else? Who else do you want on the show, guys?
Yeah, LeBron is definitely somebody that we have to connect with. It's just a matter of when, but that definitely has to happen. Diddy.
That's a good
would
one.
Be an obvious choice for a variety of different reasons, but especially since, the Assets Over Liabilities is a partnership with Revolt, which is his network. So I think that Diddy is definitely, on the top of the list. And anybody else that you can think of?
50 Cent, I think would be a great
that's
one.
a good one too.
Just from what he's doing in media right now. Nas, who we're huge fans of. And, we got that New York City tie. And what he's doing in business right now is so encouraging. So those are two definite.
Oh, those are big ones.
Yeah.
So Rashad, the Earn Your Leisure podcast has helped so many people, especially within the Black community. What does it mean to have so many people tell you about the difference that you together have been able to make?
It's encouraging. Every day, pretty much, we run into people and they say, well, you help me make money in stocks, real estate, crypto. I started a business. I have an Airbnb. I have cars on Toro. So, to provide education is something that's really priceless and transforms any other source of enjoyment. Like you can perform for somebody and give them entertainment, but when you can actually educate them, you change their lives. So, it's extremely encouraging and humbling every time somebody stops us and tells us and, really gives us motivation to keep going.
Troy, what would you say is the most common misconception when it comes to investing, and how do you dispel that with your show?
I think the most common thing is that it's difficult.
Yeah.
Right? It's because, the language has been so much over our heads, and, they use things like that, tricks like that, to make it seem discouraging. But I think that's why we came along with a breath of fresh air and spoken language that people understood. And just because we understood it. And so once we debunk that myth of, listen, this is something that you can do, you're doing it every day, it's just that you're on the wrong side. And so we try to encourage people to not only be investors, stop being consumers, right? Like we buy these things, but there's ownership. Those are businesses that we're buying into. And so once we can change that mindset from consumerism to ownership, you're gonna see these type of results where you're impacting my life on a daily basis.
So to that point, Rashad, what tips do you have for someone who wants to invest, maybe a little reluctant, a little nervous to do it for the first time?
Just start. Start with the basics as far as, start with your education first and foremost. Learn. You shouldn't invest in anything that you're not educated on. But nowadays, it's so easy to become educated on, at least the basics of stocks and real estate. You can start with our podcast. You can start with our platform. But there's many others. Read, research, and then, put some money in gradually over the course of time. You don't have to put your whole life savings in at one time. Well, you might start with $100. You might start with $200. And then, do it consistently over the course of time, especially to the stock market. That's what we call dollar cost averaging, where you're actually putting a certain amount of money into the market every single month. And most people are familiar with that with their 401k plans. Very similar. So, you can pick an index fund, which is a safe way to invest. Gives you broad range exposure. You can put a little bit of money in every single month and just develop that habit and then continue to learn, educate yourself, and then grow from there.
Guys, you know we have to talk crypto. Troy, Bitcoin falling below 24,000 Monday, sending it to the lowest level since December of 2020.
Yeah.
What do you make of what's happening? Should investors be worried?
Well, we always try to teach people to be long-term investors. I think when people run into troubles when they become day traders. And so we've been here before when we were investing in crypto in 2016 and we saw the run up in 2017, but we also saw a crypto winter when it dropped down to 3,000. And so we've been here before. Sometimes you have to experience something to be like, okay, I know how to handle myself in this situation. And so we tell people all the time, we don't see crypto going anywhere. This is just kind of the ebbs and flows of it. It was one of these profound things I heard, that there's peaks and valleys in life, and you can't grow from the peaks, right? And so that's why the valleys are so important, right? Because those are where you get to learn and you get to understand the process and learn the lessons. And so right now, we're obviously in a valley, but there'll be a peak again. And so I encourage people to be long-term investors rather than traders.
Now, Rashad, NFTs, the metaverse is something we talk about a lot on the show, taking off with so many brands and artists jumping into the space. Where do you see the space growing within the year?
NFTs?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like NFTs are going to continue to evolve. A lot of people, have the wrong conception about NFTs and they think it's just art and it's just, digital bears and monkeys, things of that nature. But the use case for NFTs, I think, transcends just the art. And I think you're going to start. We was at a sneaker convention yesterday, and one of the biggest questions was, how do we know if these sneakers are authentic or not? And I think that that's something that NFTs can actually solve. And Nike's already planning on rolling out NFTs with the sneakers because it's a huge problem for counterfeit.
Yeah.
So I feel like anything that there's an issue with counterfeits, whether it's bags, whether it's watches, whether it's sneakers, now attaching an NFT to it, authenticates it on the blockchain, and that's something that, can change the entire industry. And especially on the music side as well. I think artists are now able to reach their fans directly. So the NFTs actually allow them to not only sell them a product, but sell them an experience, and they get paid on the resale as well. As opposed to, previously you have artists like Basquiat, where I think his biggest painting sold for 100,000 when he was alive. But it recently sold for 100 million. Mm-hmm. He didn't get any of that. So if he would have had a 10% commission, then his family would have got $10 million. So that's a game changer. So there's so many different use cases, I think, on NFTs and the metaverse as well, that I feel like it will continue to evolve. The good projects will survive, the bad projects will fall, like anything. But I think the NFTs are here to stay for sure.
All right, let's talk about the Invest Fest kicking off in August. What can attendees expect in the second year of this event?
Yeah, so it's our annual event. We like to bring commerce and culture together. It's kind of what we've been built on. So they can expect to have these conversations about real estate, about investing, about life insurance, about retirement planning. All these things are encompassing, but like I said, in a language that is very digestible, very understandable. We'll have entertainment because that's a part of our culture. We grew up on that. We'll have live panel discussions, our podcast, and we'll have a place, a vendor merchandise place where people can actually bring their businesses and have people vendor and patron at their up and coming businesses. So it's a mixture of all these things. We have food trucks as well. So and rather than having a typical conference, we want to have a festival feel. And so when people come to Atlanta on August 5th through the 7th, they're going to be in for a treat. We got a lot of surprises this year.
And thanks to Rashad, Bilal, and Troy Millings, host of Assets Over Liabilities and the Earn Your Leisure podcast. Coming up